Hey everyone, this is Vince. This is On the 12 podcast, episode 5. Shauna again is with me. Pretty much going to be with me every podcast, so I just won't introduce her even though I don't. Did I even introduce you the last few times?
I believe so, and don't stop introducing me. This is not like real life when we meet your friends for the
Jesus
first time
Christ.
and
I
you
don't
never
have friends to introduce you to.
Well, the few that you have, it is very seldom that you say, "This is my wife, Shauna." You just carry on and like I'm not even there and I have to introduce myself. It's really
You know
nice.
why? In my defense,
No.
I will say that the reason why I probably do that is because I don't want to be standing around talking to that person for an extended period of time.
But you do,
So
and I'm standing there.
I try to get in and out of that conversation as possible. Hi, hello, what's going on? And instead of being like, oh, by the way, I'm saving 15 seconds.
Horse
Tops.
shit.
Tops.
Because I will stand there and I'll just look at the both of you, and are you going to introduce
How long
me?
ago
In the
did this
meantime,
even happen? How long ago?
I don't know.
Exactly.
We haven't been out.
Because I don't go out.
Yeah, but when we have, that's my point. So don't act like you don't want to have conversation because you're totally like, oh, remember this and blah, 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 high school that or whatever, or when we wrestled or blah, 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 like children. And
This is not how I figured the podcast was going to start.
it's because I thought you'd introduce me.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, we were going to talk about a friend of ours gave us an idea to talk about our children and what happens when they get sick. However, we'd be remiss, if that's the right word, to not talk about what the hell we went through last night, which was both
this morning.
weirdly fun and very exhausting. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I am a small town news reporter for the local newspaper. And last night at about, not last night. I don't know. Whenever this airs, this will probably be Monday. Mm-hmm. Just know that previously we went through some shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Kids come into the room
about 11:30ish
and tell us there's a lot of cops around, not our house, but catty corner to our neighbor's house. And didn't think much of it. We took a peek, and these cops look like they're in position of basically surrounding the house.
Yes.
And I was almost to the point of falling asleep when this started happening. Ethan, the 12-year-old, of course, gets all uber excited.
Peyton was the one that was like, hey,
Peyton got
there's
excited?
a lot of cops outside.
Okay.
And we had heard a beeping noise, and I was like, what the hell is that? And you're like, it's a car backing up, and you're meh about
I was
it.
tired.
Yeah. And to find out, well, Vince didn't even want to go outside. We're gonna go outside. Ugh. So anyway, I step outside, and Ethan was like, oh, you're gonna go outside? I said, heck yeah, it's my house. And then you hand me the puppy. Here's a good reason to be outside.
Well, we didn't know what was going on.
No,
There was
we
cars
didn't. Yeah,
driving
there was-
around.
There was
Cop car kept driving back and forth
Yeah,
in
there-
certain different spots and everything. So it was,
And then
there's definitely
ambulance-
different. Oh, the ambulance. yes.
ambulance was parked on the other side of our house.
Oh, that
on
had just
standby.
yeah, that had just parked.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when we figured out. Well, it started backing up again too. So that's when we
Right.
figured out where the beeping sound came from. But anyway, a few other cars showed up, and one of the other cop cars told those guys to leave. And then somebody else started yelling that showed up. It was a lot of
And the other
surprisingly
thing-
a lot of civilians showed up to be like, "Hey," and then they were told to leave.
Well, and then we discovered that because we live in a small town, there were police officers in unmarked cars. They were in their own personal vehicle.
Well, I told you that.
Yes.
I know. Anyway, yes. So these cars are driving around back and forth, and you could kind of tell that there's cops driving them. And then I kind of put two and two together. Oh, duh. Not all of them get to take work vehicles home with them and all this stuff. Anyway, we're outside. I finally go outside.
Yes.
Because I'm like, okay, something's definitely going. Because
We've got 5. Vince is like, if something goes down, you need to tell them, hey, we got 5 kids, we need to know what's going on.
yeah. And if it came down to it, I would pull the reporter card, be like, oh, by the way, what's going on?
Yeah, because nothing ever happens in this town, really.
We're in a town of maybe 2,000 people. The paper I write for is 30 35,000 people, give or take. So, needless to say, if cops are surrounding a trailer house, yeah, we live in a trailer, fuck you. It's definitely something that needs attention, especially when there's a somewhat of a spotlight on the one house to begin with.
Right.
Outside, I start walking around the one side of the house, and the cop pulls up directly to me. Lo and behold, I know who the cop is.
It's KBI.
It's the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, which is the state version of the FBI. They handle all the stuff if it's a state matter and this, that, or whatever. He asks us if we have a place to go. We say yes. My parents live they live on the other side of town. Ask him if it's a domestic situation. He said yes. Basically, we want to get as many people back away from this area as possible. Awesome. Proves that shit is going down. So we basically got evacuated from our house. Of the 5 kids we had Peyton, Ethan, Xander, the 5-year-old with us. The other 2 were at their Nana's house for the weekend. So we go in, we get Xander out of bed, take him, grab the new puppy that we got, and we go to my parents' house, and we're there for maybe a half an hour, trying to listen to something on the scanner, but the police scanner that my mom has. However, that doesn't go well because it's the new digital age and she hasn't gone up to snub with it or whatever. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Either way, we wouldn't hear what's going on. We wouldn't know when we would be told to go back to our house. And finally, I get the wild hair up my ass to be like, you know what? The way that house sits, if we go find a spot on the highway, I guarantee
off the highway. Just off the highway.
Yeah.
We live by some train tracks. So if we need to go on the other side of the train tracks, was really...
It would be, the house sits just on the south end of the train tracks, and the highway would be north of the train tracks. If we could find a good spot across from that, without being an interruption, we could see what's going on.
Yep. Because we couldn't figure out exactly where they were, what house they're after. We couldn't tell if it was the house right across the street from us or catty corner.
Yeah, there's 2 options of house, because the way the cars were sitting, they could have been... Anyway, 2 fucking houses that they could have been at. So, I say, let's drive out there and find out. And, of course, the 12-year-old, Ethan... I'm going to stop calling him the 12-year-old. If you've been listening, 13. Fucking Ethan's the 12-year-old, Peyton's the 13-year-old, Dry's 8, Xander's 5, Zabry's 4.
Yes.
So from now on, we're going to start calling them by their fucking names and not their ages. It's your own fault if you haven't been listening. Ethan goes with us. We tried one spot, and we realized we were way too close to the action.
Yeah.
Luckily, the cop didn't...
Right next to the cop.
Luckily, the cop didn't see us or didn't really give a shit about what we were doing because we pretended like we were turning around. And so we took a different route and found a perfect spot directly across there's a big field, and we were directly across from the action. By that time, we could see the spotlight. It was a smaller spotlight directly on the front of the house. Perfect angle. So we park. We're sitting there. And how long would you say we were there before I was like, hey, maybe we should get some binoculars because we can't see shit?
Maybe 20, no more than 30 minutes, I would say.
So we're watching. We're at a distance. I'd say we were, if I had to guess,
a football field.
Yeah, about 100, 125 yards away from everything. So knowing my dad was an avid hunter, so I knew he'd have binoculars. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. Let's go get some binoculars. As I'm backing out from where we're at, I tell Ethan, hey, call Grandpa. Tell him to have his binoculars ready, so we're gonna come grab them, and we can leave right away. Pull out, driving towards their house again. Ethan gets Grandpa on the phone.
We're just about to make the turn to get to their house.
Just about to get to my parents' street to turn onto. Grandpa says they're underneath the driver's seat.
Which really isn't that big of a deal, because it's like a 2-minute drive from where we were.
It's not like it took 10 minutes out of our way.
We were totally in prime stakeout mode, and had we known that it was underneath the seat.
And I'm 6'1", with really long arms, so I'm able to reach down, grab this bag that's underneath the driver's seat, and lo and behold, we had binoculars the whole time. Anyway, Awesome. Great. Grand. Wonderful. We go back. Exact same spot. Found the exact same spot. We were able to go. And we would sit there for the next...
2.5 hours.
Was it really 2.5? I thought it was...
We started watching at 1:30.
Okay, so 1:30 in the morning. Everything ended at 4. So yeah, we sat there...
4:11.
Well, 4... Well, I was going to get to that.
I know, but I'm
Quit
saying...
jumping ahead in the story.
I'm not jumping.
3.5 hours we were out there in stakeout mode.
And it's snowing.
No,
Okay.
well, that didn't... Quit jumping ahead.
Okay,
God
Vince
damn.
is telling a
You
story.
need to learn
I'm
how to
not
tell
here.
a story. That's right. I said it. What are you going to do? Anyway, we get back to the spot.
Quit looking at me.
We get back to the spot. There's more cops that are starting to come in from behind us because the highway is just right behind us and all the action's happening in front of us. There's at least at this time one SWAT team vehicle out, several highway patrol vehicles, sheriff's office vehicles, from where we could see, posted up in different spots around the front of the house. Mind you, the railroad tracks, there's 2 roads that run on either side of the tracks, so therefore they could come and go in front of this house as often as they wanted to.
And another reason we're really concerned, other than what is going on in this small town and Vince being a reporter, once we discovered what house it was, we were aware that we knew these people.
The 2 boys whose mom lives at the house are friends with our 8-year-old. Yeah. They go to school together. In fact,
our 8 and our 5.
In fact, he spent the night at our house 1.5, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So that was the other incentive. They're friends of ours. So
very concerned with what's going on and if the kids are there kids there. So anyway, continue.
So needless to say, the adrenaline and the worry and the fear and the excitement, can't lie, of seeing all this transpire was pretty... It was intense.
Yeah, I will say Vince and Ethan were both very much, what's going to happen? I wish something would happen. They need to invade. And quite honestly, I think I sat in that van just watching and literally praying the entire time that those kids nothing was going to happen to those kids. I mean, my stomach was in knots. Anyway, that was my biggest and main concern. I couldn't get as excited as you and Ethan were, but
I didn't want anything. I wanted something exciting to happen, but with a good outcome. Yes. I didn't want bullets flying. I didn't want any of that stuff. I wanted to see the door get broke. I wanted to see the stuff we've seen on TV.
I can't deny that I kind of want, but more than anything, I just wanted to make sure that those kids. My concern for the kids outweighed or outranked or whatever. Granted. But when anything would happen, when we'd see like a vehicle move, a cop car move.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
Okay, so needless to say, I think I've said that 8 fucking times.
Right.
Needless
You'll
to
say it
Jesus
more.
Christ, it's pathetic.
Fine.
Every 30 minutes to 45 minutes, there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
The police cars are in the same spot. The lights are blinking the same way, whether the berries and cherries or just regular headlights, nothing's happening. All of a sudden, this sheriff's truck pulls up with a trailer, it looks like. Mm-hmm. And we're like, what the hell is that? They put up what I would say a pole with 6 to 8 football stadium spotlights.
Yeah.
They raise it up, and this thing lights up this house like it's a sunny day in June.
Yeah.
I mean, by this time, I would say it's 2 o'clock in the morning. This spotlight goes up, which for me and us made looking through the binoculars 10 times better.
Oh yeah.
I could adjust the binoculars just right. Mm-hmm. We could see everything crystal clear. Like, and of course with that thought process, maybe this means they're going to get to the busting in the door phase.
What's going to happen next? Nothing.
30 to 45 minutes later,
it starts snowing. That's what happens. It starts falling.
Well, first, the best part was look at all those bugs on the spotlight. And I'm like, why would there be bugs around a spotlight in the middle of January?
Okay. I like how you try to make me out to be like an absolute idiot.
No, I'm with you. I'm like,
okay.
My thing was, why would you ask that? But at the same time, why would there be a lot of bugs in the middle of January? I mean, it was warm. It's been warm. It's been forecasted that we were supposed to have a massive blizzard. That never fucking came.
Yeah. Nope.
Like what? Because nothing's hitting our windshield.
That's my whole point.
Our windows were down because we were vaping.
Yeah.
We weren't getting hit. It wasn't really that cold yet.
It was getting chilly. No.
Even though we had.
Because we had the heater on.
We had the heater on a few
and
times.
I had a blanket.
And we did shut the van off at a certain point throughout. And then all of a sudden it started to snow. And then all of a sudden it really fucking started to snow.
But it was crazy because it, honestly, you know, in cartoons when somebody's having a bad day and like that one person has a rain cloud over their head, that's what it was like for that house that was being surrounded. It was just snowing right there on that house because you see the snow accumulating on the train tracks and all around there and on the roof of that house. There was absolutely nothing hitting our windshield.
Nothing's hitting our windshield. Nothing's coming into the van because we have our windows cracked a little bit. Granted, I think if my parents listen to this, they'll be like, oh, so you were vaping in the van?
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
And we say, hey, does your windshield look any different? No.
Anyway, it starts snowing.
And then it finally does start hitting the windshield.
Yeah, and then it really starts
15 minutes before
it starts to accumulate. Then it's like, oh shit! Every now and then we got to run the windshield wipers because it's hard to see what's going on.
Binoculars are getting fogged up because the heater, you know, the car turns off and because they're trying to. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So by that time, I'd say another half hour, 45 minutes. I don't know. Another trooper car or an SUV police car shows up and parks off to the side where this other one was, and then another SWAT team van shows up.
Yeah, the SWAT team van numero dos
pulls up to the house, and we're like, oh shit, here it comes, and they proceed to back up and then sit for another half an hour.
Yep.
And then pull back up to the house and then sit for another half an hour.
And then Ethan gets a phone call from his mom.
Because he texts his mom, who lives in the bigger town, hey, he said, all caps, call me ASAP. And of course, what mother wouldn't be freaked out at 2 o'clock in the morning, their son texting, call me ASAP?
Yes.
She calls, and this is the conversation. We're going to be paraphrasing. Mind you, it's 2:30-ish, 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. And Ethan proceeds to tell his mother what's going on. And it starts out with, we are in the middle of a major crime. And I could hear her, what's going on?
What are you talking about?
I'm like, Ethan, you need to explain things a little bit better than that. She might think we're in the middle of it. We are in the middle of a major crime. Oh my God. Ethan, will you tell her? I don't want to talk to her. So Ethan has to explain in his slap happiness best way possible that we were watching a potential hostage situation. We don't really know what's going on. We still don't know, even though, anyway. Ethan says, alls I know is, Dad's driving us out here. Shauna's in the van with us. We're watching all this stuff goes down, and this is basically the greatest day of my life.
This is pretty much the greatest day of my life.
I mean, this is on my bucket list. I've always wanted to see a major crime, happen in front of me. I mean, I haven't seen anything yet, but this is about as close as it's going to get.
And we could hear his mom laughing on the other end and just what? Finally, Vince did have to talk to her and explain.
Yeah, I had to explain, hey, this, basically what we said. Cops told us we had to leave the area. This is what's going on. We don't really know. But just from hearing that end of the conversation, and even us trying to muffle our own laughs because we were afraid the cops would hear us.
Yeah, we're so
because we were so, semi-paranoid about, are they going to tell us to leave if they see us here?
Yeah.
So we went in, lights out, all stealth mode and all that bullshit,
right.
but whatever.
On somebody else's property. That's what happens.
And, pure, basically doing journalism without cameras.
It was like
video
being on a
cameras.
stakeout and then nothing happening.
Yeah. Like, as often as possible.
And then I had to pee like something vicious.
Don't talk about that. Yeah,
And-
that pee thing was intense to say the least.
Yeah. So I waited for the train to come by.
The van is starting to shake and all kinds of stuff. And anyway, so Ethan gets off the phone. Train starts to come. And this is after all the pieces are into place, if you will. The double SWAT vehicles are where they need to be.
Another vehicle pulled up with the lights on, no sirens.
Yeah. And every time something would move or another light on a cop vehicle would turn on, we would expect that's the signal.
Yes.
So every little movement that would happen every hour, whether it was
every half
a
hour,
light or an actual movement, was like, buh. And then your adrenaline kicks in. You start breathing a little heavier. The binoculars start shaking a little bit more than they're supposed to because you're really amped up waiting for something to happen, only for nothing to happen.
Mm-hmm. And so Ethan decides to just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
he goes to sleep. Train comes through, and of course, me being me, thinking, watch something happen when this train's going through and we can't see shit.
Yep. And I was like, that would be ideal because the house.
Well, that's what we were thinking, because
it's a double wide trailer where these people were at,
and the way our house sits is just on the other side of that, and our house shakes pretty good when the train goes by.
But this house that they're surrounded is right by those train tracks.
Yeah. So needless to say, this. God damn it! I said it again.
It's all right.
Anyway, you would think, hey, let's go in now, while they're thinking, oh, it's just the train causing the house to shake, not us beating the door in. That's, I mean, that was what we were thinking. That'd have been cool. Good timing. Woo! That didn't happen.
Nope. Nope.
So the train leaves. Still nothing.
Everybody's still in the same position. Nobody's moved.
And all of a sudden, the cop cars that are off to the left, all their lights, their headlights, and their berries and cherries cut out. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I look at the binoculars, see any movement or anything of the sort. Nothing. I start panning from left to right, real slow, because seeing maybe the cops got out and started walking up to the house. All of a sudden I see one of the SWAT team guys in the trees. And I'm like, oh shit! There's one right there! And I hand the binoculars off to Shauna. I'm like, look at him in the trees. And by that time, I see 4 heads, because the way they're walking around normal, but the way we were positioned at, all we could see is these heads and upper bodies, for the most part, walking in front of the house. That's how high up the hill is, if you will, for the train tracks. So all we see is these like little heads just kind of bopping back and forth.
Waist up.
They start doing their, surveilling the house, going up to the windows, and I'm like, oh, it's really about to go down. Now it's like, okay, some shit's going in. Mm-hmm. She hands me back the binoculars, because I gotta see what's going on, because me being me, like, give me them. Mm-hmm. Only for them to go away from the house again.
They go on, like, the other side of the house, where we can't see anything.
Yeah.
The side of the house that faces our house. Our house.
Yeah, had we stayed at our house, we'd have had a better shot at what was going on. However, we hear them sound off the siren, police sirens, and we're like, what?
Yeah, all of a sudden, sirens start going off.
Like, police sirens start going off, and I'm like, oh, is there another unit showing up or something? Because we couldn't tell where the sirens were coming from. And then, despite the fact we were so far away, and by that time, the snow was hitting the van hard enough to where you could hear it. Mm-hmm. We can hear them on the loudspeaker, assuming we have your place surrounded, come out with your hands up, kind of, we've all seen it in TVs and movies and all that. They start doing that as soon as the sirens cut out. And before we know it, door flies open, and dude inside the house comes out with his hands up and
lays on the ground from what we could tell. Yeah. And is arrested immediately. No shots fired. So no
no incident that we've seen on
However,
TV and all that stuff.
We counted at least 8, I'm assuming SWAT guys that went into the house.
Oh, yeah.
It was boom, boom. I mean, it was like never ending. Just like, oh my gosh, there goes another.
There's a big train of cops that went in once he was arrested. But as far as we could tell, no one else was in the house. No one else came out of the house.
Correct.
So we're assuming our friend and kids weren't in the house when this happened.
We did see the kids today.
Yeah,
so
walking around the neighborhood.
So that was good.
That's a good sign.
There were 2 vehicles at the house today. So, if something super awful had happened inside, I wouldn't think they'd be allowed back to the house. So.
Yeah, so I think it's like the KBI agent said, I think it's just a domestic situation that got way out of hand. Yeah. Don't really know the details.
But how crazy that SWAT team's involved, KBI's involved, and the sheriff department, and they were also contacting people from the other town, the bigger town.
Well, the SWAT team guys, great. Our town doesn't have SWAT team, obviously. They called from the bigger towns, so that's where and of course, this being a small community, they got to get, I
mean, and roads were blocked off. We couldn't.
Yeah, when we tried, when everything was said and done.
Yeah, the guy came out. I looked at the clock. We clocked at 4:11. Is when the dude came out. 4:11 in the morning.
And I think we watched everything go down for about another 20 to 30 minutes. Nothing really could see. The cops started, taking their photographs of the house and everything like that. So
it looked like a break-in. That's our assumption.
Yeah.
Is that there's a screen door.
Yeah, the screen. Oh, yeah, the screen door.
Go ahead.
You can. Anyway, the screen door looked like it had been bent in half and was hanging by its hinges barely.
Yeah.
Like it was leaning open, so you could tell something definitely had gone down with that. So they started taking photographs of that right away.
It was like paparazzi in there once dude was out. I mean, it was just fling, 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 flashlight or flash of lights, like crazy.
So we go back home to get Peyton and Xander and the puppy to come back home. We're like, oh, cool, everything's up. Only to have cones blocking every possible entrance to our house.
Yes.
So we had to drive around another part of the trailer park, drive up 3 trailers down from our house in order to walk up to the house, get everyone back in bed, wait for them to remove the cones in order to pull the van back up to where it needed to be, so it wasn't just down the street from us and our neighbors wondering like who the fuck's van is parked in front of our house kind of shit. After everything was all said and done, we finally got ready to go at 5 a.m. I think 5:15 in the morning. Like the adrenaline at that point was like gone, and I could only imagine what the cops and everyone else was going through because it was
cold
with the snow, and you're not this town, this area, you don't get those kind of situations often. So I know they train for it constantly because I've covered that for the newspaper too. But man, especially in a small town, if relatively everyone knows everybody, so I'm sure that has to factoring into it. Kids possibly being involved could factor into a lot of things. So yeah, it was a pretty fucking intense night.
It was crazy. I even lived just outside of LA and stuff for a little, but I've never been a part of anything quite like that. I mean, there was no helicopter or anything, but for a small town, for a small cow town, if you will, it was crazy. But like we said, it did not seem as though anybody was harmed. We're assuming, because we have yet to find out, but just based on what we watched at our stakeout, that the guy just locked himself in the house or something, and
well, because of the whole house, only one bedroom light seemed to be on. So I'm
that's
wondering
where the spotlight was, the original spotlight.
The original spotlight, yeah.
Football field light. But.
So I'm basing on assumptions of what we were seeing. I think he locked himself in a bedroom at some point, and not knowing what's going on inside, whether he's armed or anything like that. Yeah, so that was pretty definitely interesting to say the least.
Yeah, and then apparently, Ethan gets to mark something off his bucket list. So, winner.
I really want to know what major crime he was hoping to see.
Yeah.
That's a little scary.
That's just funny.
I'm not surprised, but at the same time, like, oh, I just saw this guy throw himself off that bridge. No, that's not really a major crime. That's a suicide, but still. But, yeah. I mean, what parent wouldn't be like, you need to call me ASAP. It's 3 a.m, and the first thing out of your son's mouth is, we're in the middle of a major crime right now.
There are cops all around our house. Yeah, there's like this. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And
there's cops all around our house. We're in the midst of a major crime right now. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Anyway, well, that's pretty much what we wanted to share because it just happened, well, not that long ago.
Yeah, it's definitely fresh in our minds, and obviously I could tell from my voice, even though I kind of lost it a few times during this, that we're still kind of excited to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Hopefully, everyone involved, if they even hear this, they won't be like, why are you talking about this? Because we lived it, goddammit.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, if this happened like on the other side of town and we didn't know about it, I don't know if I would be just amped. I mean, I'd be like, oh, damn it, I missed a good story. But the fact that it happened literally in our backyard, front yard, if you will, and we knew the people, we know the people involved. It just insanity and fun and excitement and craziness, fear, and glad everything came in the end the way it needed to be.
Yeah.
And that's all great and gravy. And hopefully I can write about more detail once I talk to the powers that be and see how it all went down and all that stuff. But I don't know.
That's
I thought it was
last time I ever complain about things being complacent and nothing going on in our lives because, man.
Well, yeah, because like it was like, oh, we need to do a podcast. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna do it on we were going to do it on our kids being extremely sick, because a friend of ours, like I said in the beginning, had mentioned, you should talk about the trials and tribulations of parenthood and all the shit we have to deal with our kids and sickness and all that. But we'll do that, I'm sure.
At some point.
At some point. But for now, we definitely had to go with that, because I'm pretty sure,
it's exciting.
even though we started off with Shauna being like, you know what, you don't introduce me to anybody. Fucking dick. Meanwhile,
yeah, that's the way we roll. If anybody knows us, they know they wouldn't expect anything less.
And then who knows how the sound of this came out? It's probably like, okay, now tell us really slowly exactly what fucking happened, because you guys kept jumping back and forth, and I don't know. It was fun. It was definitely something that I would love to go through again.
Really?
I don't know. I think so. Not in the event of we have to evacuate, but,
Well, we didn't have to. We chose to. It's because we were out on our porch and there, for the safety.
But like
if you guys have somewhere to go, that would be. And I told Vince, I think that was wise, because as things did get out of hand, we've got kids and it's not just him and me, and I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Our one other neighbor, whether they were told to or not, they left maybe 10 minutes before we did.
Right. And then yet our other neighbor was like, nope, we're staying right here.
And,
so.
Yeah, our other neighbor, who's friends with the older kids, he was kind of our eyes in the beginning before we started our stakeout.
Yeah.
We were texting and having him call and be like, hey, okay, now what are they doing?
Yeah, the moment we found out there's a SWAT van, Vince is like, we're going! We're going to go get some we're going to see what's going on.
And I did get a few pictures, so those will be posted.
Yep.
At the newspaper website. I'll drop a line to it. I'll probably put it in the comment section.
There you go.
Once the story's written and all that stuff, I'll add that in there. But for now, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
If you want to comment on this, please do. Or ask us to slowly tell us exactly what happened. And if you even give a shit, who knows? I thought it was fun.
Check us out on Twitter.
I'm at Vincent Marshall. And you're...
At Shauna, Shauna, Marshall, with 1 L, 20.
And on Facebook, facebook.com/VincentMarshall93.
I have no idea what mine is, so it's whatever.
And then, of course, comment on the 12 podcast on YouTube. Other than that, that's the podcast for this week. See you guys.
See ya.